we doing, Mary? Woo. Testing to make sure my microphone is working. Test. Oh, I'm doing good. Well, if you're answering, then you can hear. Checking to make sure we don't have the typical stream start microphone malfunction. Let's get a little more light from this side. Let's test out this smoothing method. Just finding that the last batch of clay that I made was a little bit too lumply bumply. And so I spritzed down one of my pumpkins with water and a paper towel, and then rubbed it furiously for a while, and it went from looking hugely rumbly bumply to tolerably smooth. So I wanted to try that, but using a spritzer this time. Last time it was just me hand dabbing with paper towel. I think the spritzer will be a lot more effective. So are you guys up to scorching temperatures in Arizona already? Or is it still survivable? I'm guessing part of that will depend on Kingman's proximity to mountains and or deserty places. Low 80s? Alright. You guys are actually on par with us, at least from a few days ago. Alright, that's not great. That's a damn sight better than it was. I don't feel like rubbing away at it for hours like I did before. Partially surprised the technique even works. Whew. I'm glad it does. There's a lot to fix a pumpkin that looked like it was terminally rough. amazed that does such a good job as it does for such a simple little nothing. Doesn't even make that much of a mess either. Okay. Let's make some better quality clay. Spent about 2 hours today cleaning up the craft room. God, was that ever necessary? Where's the plug? Don't tell me you went back there. Nope. Ah, you're plugged in there. Good. So I don't need to be crazy. Whew. Junk. Too much junk. Point of all the cleaning is to clean out all the junk. Hopefully this music is royalty free, as I requested through the system. Don't feel like getting another fun flag from YouTube and Twitch. Up with water and let that top do things. Hey, Kuhara! How we doing? It's gonna be about 9-10 o'clock over there right now. Oh, I miss the UK. I really do. Echo, next track. 11:30, good God. Must mean it's about 6:30 over here. Wah! Well, I'm glad I could help. Make ourselves some stupidly thick paste. Holy mackerel, did I underwater that. Woo! Trying out new methods of pumpkin doing today. ourselves nice and goopy. The nice thing is only one more side of that one, and we should be able to try the method. Pasting. Doing alright, Berlina, doing alright. Spent a couple hours today cleaning the craft room. So there's actually space behind me. About 2 bags worth of trash in the hallway. Ready to go downstairs. Ugh. Trying to get the lid off this drywall joint compound. Ugh. Alright, giant spoon. There's giant spoon. Probably gotta put some water in there. Length, I'll be able to dump that. Woo! Yeah, we're gonna... I really want to try this pumpkin first method. I am thinking that it will be a lot of dangerous dremeling. But I think the overall result is it's gonna be a much faster, easier pumpkin. But I definitely plan on wearing a respirator when I Dremel it. Just because the normal cutting of a pumpkin, whoop-de-doo, it takes 5-10 minutes. But I'm planning on this, if I do the pumpkin first method, it will already be a 360 mache pumpkin. And that is going to entail a lot of quasi-dangerous dust. More than I want to inhale in one go. But I have my respirator, so I'm really looking forward to the method, because I'm curious to how well the stuff will Dremel sculpt. And it's possible that to finalize and finish it, we may only need just to put a little paper clay slip onto any rough parts. And they should smooth out really nice. But we'll see when we get there. Just want to get some of this dried slurm off my spoon. And the trash. Okay. Also, we'll see if there's a better consistency of compound further down. Because right now I've kind of got like a top layer here that's really, really dry. And if the music's weird, it's because I just told the Gizmo to give me royalty-free music. So I have no idea what we're going to get. Just kind of hoping it doesn't suck too much. just hoping it's all royalty free. That's already breaking up. That's what I wanted. Gonna throw the lid back on, mix it up, and we'll be to the fun part. All the way around. Hammer. We may end up double batching this one. Because I made a lot of paste. Stupid lot of paste. Okay, let's bowls. Hey Karen, how we doing? We're gonna save a little bit for smoothing. And the rest we're gonna try to make into one batch of clay. One huge batch of clay. One other thing I'm going to have to do at some point is get a vacuum cleaner in here and get this stuff going. Wah! I'll know in a few minutes. You gotta see, I just did some very, very, very heavy cleaning of the craft space. And theoretically, a lot more things that I use a lot more commonly are in arm's reach. And I cleaned out a lot of junk that just kind of got thrown in the craft room when I moved into the house. Because there was a whole bunch of movers saying, where do you want this box? Where do you want that box? Where do you want it? Where do you want it? Where do you want it? I was like, oh. Upstairs, this room. Up there, this room. Just put it in rooms. Ah. Alright, if you don't like lots of noise, turn your volume down for a minute. We're going to be mixing up clay. should be a really good batch based on the consistency of my fluff. Or not my fluff, my paste. I don't know that fluffing the insulation does that much to help. I'm sure it avoids some lumpies, but overall quality-wise, who knows. Alright, noisy again. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. Good sound. Wow, weirdly enough, it's still really sticky. Hey, Joey, how we doing? And if it's sticky, it means it needs more fluff. I did mix up a big batch, though. So. But it's really close to being done. So I can't need too much more. Last little bit. I occasionally have that problem too, Joey. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, that's really good clay. Really, really good clay. Holy crap. Woohoo! For me, it's a matter of I know I feel better when I've accomplished something. If I sit around doing nothing but surfing through YouTube and watching Facebook, I start to feel down and dour and crappy and whatnot. But I know if I get something done, I'll feel better. So for me, it's a matter of I get my butt up to the craft room when I know it's time. And that's not to say that sitting down and doing your time-wasting pursuit of choice is not absolutely essential too. It helps to decompress. But at least that's the way it is for me. Different for everybody. I'm also excited about trying out this potential new technique. Oh. Because if I do a new technique and it works, then I get to make a tutorial on it. And there is never a time when that's not fun. And I really like giving info to folks whom I think it can help. Oh my god, that's beautiful clay. This new method may also be ridiculously faster, too. Not so much a change to the formula, but when it's more of I have never recorded how I like it for paper clay, but whenever I'm making paper clay, I like to put a lot more flour in my paste. I like to make it kind of double thick. Hey, Michael. Yeah, we're trying out a new method where we're going to make the pumpkin first, 100%, and make it as pumpkin-like as possible, and then we're going to Dremel the face and sculpt from there. And that way I won't have to worry about sculpting around the face like I started doing with that pumpkin back there. I realized, God, what a pain in the butt it is to do this. But yeah, Joey, when I'm making clay, I really like to go very, very heavy on the flour. Ridiculously, well, not ridiculously, but much heavier on the flour. I find that gives me a much cleaner surface afterwards. I am a little bit concerned about mice with mice and insects and whatnot with the increased flour content, but I've never really had a problem. And Lord knows I've had pumpkins sit in garages totally exposed all winter long. As long as you give it a good coat of varnish, I don't think they'll go for it. But always in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, it's paper products infused with flour. Which is practically nutrition for mice. Oh, pardon me. I'm really happy because this pumpkin surface on this area kind of sucks. Extremely pleased to be redoing it in a much better format. This royalty-free music is really weird. Echo, next track. Kind of hoping that this is going to be a lot faster. Considering I've already got like half a pumpkin covered, I think it's going to be. God, this stuff is so good. The last batch of clay I made did not have quite the flour content I like. So this is just impressing the hell out of me. Take this a little bit further down towards the balloon bottom, because since this is better clay, I'm pretty sure that if I decide to do a carving face, I'll probably end up doing it on this side. And that means the chinny chin chin may be elevated, so it's looking up. So we'll get closer to the balloon down here than normal. I think this was also an experiment with 3 layers of paper only. Nice. Do you have a brand name, Michael? What did you use? Or what brand did you use? Because I agree, that sounds really good. Let's see if I've got that fishing line over there. This is where I remember it last being. Alright, so like Henry Roofing Compound at Home Depot. Alright, fishing line is not there. That means it's probably right here in the string bin. Sometimes organization is a wonderful thing. Let's not lose it because it's friggin' fishing line. Oh, if I had a couple of dowels, that would help. It occurs to me in one of my sculpting bins, I've got one of those. It's a wire on 2 loops, but I don't believe I have that here. It'll be hiding somewhere. All right. Nice. Well, it's not so much the grooves themselves that I'm worried about, is their alignment. The fact that it's a polar body means I need the grooves to be aligned from pole to pole. And the best way to make sure that they are believably pumpkin-like in that regard is to set something at one pole and take a string or a line and make sure you go to the other pole, because otherwise I find your lines can angle off to the sides and it looks more like you've got kind of a spirally bit in there than a pole to pole pumpkin line. I don't have to use all these, I'm just making a bunch of them to be guides. Hey, David. How's it going? But the pole to pole will always ensure that you've got, or using a line to go pole to pole will make sure that you've always got a good, properly aligned line. And once I get the grooves in, I'm just going to go down them with the old silicone tool. Yes. I only strangle the pumpkins. Yeah. There's still a bunch of clay left, which is really nice. I want to start going around those other pumpkins as well. I think this technique is going to be spot freaking on. Find where here's the break between the old and the new. It's a little too thick in there. Tiny balancing rim. Well, not necessarily, because these are unevenly spaced for one. Secondarily, I'm only using them as guides. My final project may or may not include them all, and I certainly do not plan on having them be completely symmetrical. In terms of having this with a slight bumpity line here, that's just simply to make sure that there isn't a hugely distinct portion, because otherwise on the other side it'll look the exact same. There'll be one face that is definitively higher than the other. That would indicate a symmetry, and there's no symmetry! Plus this clay is really goddamn good, and I'm just enjoying using it. Echo, next track. Less obvious that here's the junction point. be one of those here. It's here if you're looking for it, but most folks won't be. Pardon. I cannot wait to start carving away on this thing, though. It's going to be awesome to have all the grooves done ahead of time. Ugh, man, there's a reason royalty-free music kind of sucks. Yeah. Echo, next track. Don't mind if you're playing the piano, but go somewhere with it, damn it. Yeah. Sounded like a beginner piano player's practice piece where it's like, alright, keep making. Today we're going to study discordance. Here is a piece that is about 8 to 16 bars long and is discordant. Play through it and practice. Just stop being so tight-fisted about music. Music and making money off of it. People are exceptionally tight-fisted. Seem to work to fix the transition issue. Good. Alright, now we have a very odd smoothing paste. Because normally I don't have drywall joint compound in my smoothing paste. I don't think it'll make a huge difference. today we've got it in there. Depends on what I just used on them. Every brush starts out, obviously, as a good brush, but then at some point, it gets scuzzy. When it becomes scuzzy, it becomes a dry brush, because I want those brushes to be kind of wiry and crap. And if they continue to deteriorate, then I might toss them. But generally, a dry brush can stay as a dry brush for quite a long time before it gets too crappy to even be used for that. Of course, if you use it for a project where, you know, you're throwing something on there where it's not going to recover, like resin, epoxy, something like that, then you may as well toss the brush. If you got a solvent for it, great, but there are some that just aren't worth it, because that brush, even if you use something that's really good, it'll never come back to being worth the effort. Echo, next track. Jesus. Friggin' royalty free. In a decent and just world, I would just throw on Dance with the Dead and be happy. Yeah. You know, like, obviously all this mache paste stuff will clean out just fine with water. No worries. So I'd never worry about tossing a brush with this material. You know, I never have. I use sanding sponges quite a bit on solid projects, but I've never used makeup sponges. Conceivably, they would do an excellent job, I think, especially at smoothing. But to a certain extent, you know, the hand already works pretty well for that. So it's one of those, do you want to keep varying your media or not? It's kind of just down to personal choice, I think. drawings right here. I probably don't really need to go over them again, but for some reason it makes me feel better to give them a second pass. And this one here I may not be able to do that with. It's got to be a lot lighter. There we go. True. It very well might. I kind of like just a smooth look on my pumpkins, though. Like I said, personal preference. It's one of the things I love about pumpkins. Like, if I see a pumpkin, like sometimes I can tell, like that's a Jeff Mays pumpkin, or that's an Unhinged Productions pumpkin. And to a certain extent, I can also replicate or see when people are trying, or not necessarily trying, but when people are replicating my styles. It's like, oh yeah, that's one of my grandkids right there. Somebody watched my stuff. So, all personal preference. I didn't even know there were contests for mache pumpkins. I know there's a couple of prop contests. I've never entered one of those. The only contest I know that I kind of entered just on a what the hell was the... there's a little site on YouTube where they started doing these home haunt awards. And I think I entered for best display on one of those. Just kind of like seeking entries for Home Haunt Awards 2020, whatever. Like, oh, well, what do I have? What do I got? Doesn't cost me anything to enter. I just can't wait to take a Dremel to one of these suckers. Carve my face and then do the ancillary sculpting. It's gonna be so friggin' cool. relatively quasi-realistic pumpkin exterior. Done, compared to what it used to be in the past, done quite rapidly. And then afterwards, it's all dried up, probably in a day or so. We'll take out the Dremel and do the carving on it. And I won't have to worry about putting in all the lines around the stuff I'm doing. So let's take a close up of the surface and how that surface looks. Oh, they're all going to be scary. The only pumpkin that I envisage doing as a happy pumpkin will be probably when I do a My First Pumpkin video tutorial. I think that came out really well. Alright. It's a point at which doing more on it will just cause problems. Let me go find a drying space. Considering I just did all this cleaning of my craft room, this means I should have some out-of-the-way space to put these projects that just need drying. I won't smash into them. Cause problems. Yes. Echo next track. Jesus, another piece of music where it's like it's not going anywhere. Another let's make instrument noises. There are definitely folks who do not like a dark, evil Halloween. More power to them. Like with this one, earlier I sculpted in all these lines as I was doing the face and going around it. And I think it's going to be so much easier to carve the face out and then do the sculpting around the facial features and not having to worry about putting these in. I do teach. Yes, indeed. I am a science teacher. Let's get the Bassac of this pumpkin done. I wish I had another one of those bins. Oh, I usually just go with the flow. Every single time. No matter what. Something that's... yeah, that's better. Always go with the flow. Yep. Science. Biology specialty. Lately I've been branching a lot into trying to learn my way around electronics a lot more competently. Regrettably, art teachers have a... my inner cynic wants to say art teachers have a terrible destiny ahead of them. That's not true at all. But growing up, my father continually told me, what are you going to do when you grow up? You're going to be a doctor or lawyer, doctor or lawyer, doctor or lawyer, doctor or lawyer, da, 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 da. What are you going to do? Doctor or lawyer? And that was the constant. And, well, clearly I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. But that was the mantra of ages. So, we learned very quickly in our inventory of careers that good was making lots of money, and art teacher was not making lots of money. So it became, in my growing up adolescent mind, a no-fly zone. So I didn't even consider it. Plus, I really liked science, and I was definitely pursuing that. The current ages of teaching that I do are mostly 11th and 12th graders. Let's face it, it's pretty much entirely 11th and 12th graders. But for the 10 years before the last 2 years, because I've recently shifted positions, it was entirely 9th and 10th graders with the odd 11th grade need credits or the odd senior needs credits situation thrust in. So, most of my experience has been 9th and 10th, and actually, come to think of it, for like 8 of those 10 years, I also did 7th and 8th grade middle school as well. So, yeah. What ages? The answer to that is yes. High school and some middle school. I've done all the things. All the things forever. Recently, I built a nice high voltage power supply I hope to screw around with some Curlian photography with. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of got me wondering if I can put the output of a flyback transformer through another flyback transformer. I'm a little worried that the voltage might be a little too high. Or there'll be so little amperage that you'll never get so much as a corona. I don't think I had the right mindset for art when I was growing up anyway. That's kind of the next step, WM. I've got a couple of projects that I want to trial on that end. Somebody called Here's Johnny on YouTube. Echo, next track. Really? Fine. Echo, stop. Echo, stop. If I'm not allowed to skip as much as I want, then I'll listen to the music in my head. So suffice to say, Here's Johnny on YouTube has a really cool concept, which he has called a Lear ghost, that looks absolutely disgustingly frightful. It's a beautiful creation, which uses minimal motors. I'd love to build one of those. It's on the docket. I've been threatening for years to build a cauldron creep. That one's also on the docket. And and who was it? DIY Haunters has a video out on a floating seance table, which is powered by a baby rocker, and I have purchased one of those, and I plan on using it to get one of my critters here moving in a spectral fashion. So yeah. Yeah, I actually have a box at work that I call the Mad Science Bin, where I throw all sorts of bits of wire and switches and plugs and hardware scraps, lenses and mirrors, because invariably they start throwing out garbage at schools. And if you play your cards right, you can sometimes get a hold of some good stuff. Like I harvested a couple of Fresnel lenses from some old overhead machines that they were scrapping. Personally, I just believe it's important to be able to have the knowledge to use things not for their intended purpose to make what you want to make out of them. I do not sell my stuff. If I am ever in a position where I have extra stuff, I may make an Etsy and throw it up there, but this is my hobby. The same reason I don't schedule my crafting times. It's my hobby, not my job. I have a perfectly adequate job, pays me a perfectly adequate salary, and gives me a perfectly adequate summer vacation in which to do my hobby. But I do like making tutorials, so if I find something really cool, I do try to share it to show other people how I did it. The garage and the basement. We have accumulated a fair amount of crap over the years, I must say. And some little bit of it's in the house too, because it's, you know, it's year-round decor. You're as much of a Halloween-ophile as I am. It stops becoming Halloween decorations and becomes, you know, house decor. See if we can madball this guy like we did the other piece. And then I'll only have to worry about the lower half of him. This guy is a project who will be shipping out though, because I promised somebody years ago now that I would make a pumpkin for them. And I got sidetracked and pushed back and pushed back. But I owe her a pumpkin, because I said I would, and so I will. No promises were made about the time frame, but I said I would. so I will. Ran into that, which is not surprising. Which means we've really kind of hit our threshold of coverage. It may be dangerous to go beyond that line in terms of crud falling over and hitting other stuff. So. All right, let's do the work. Nice. Everybody needs extreme low frequency pumpkins. Though I know what you mean. I've seen some really cool adaptations of stuff that I've done. I saw one guy made a cool haunted guitar and a snow cone clown creature. People have made some really spectacular stuff using these techniques. Hey, people make snowmen all the time using these techniques. All the time. Extremely common. This is fishing wire, or fishing line. I do have a clay cutting wire somewhere, but this was near to hand. Near to hand and extremely easy to do with this. Majesty, what are you doing over there? Hi. Yeah, I know. There's so much more room now, isn't there? Crazy. It's crazy, kitty cat. Hi. I might even be able to poach you off the ground one of these times. Wahahaha. Yes, unhinged is excellent. I love his work. He actually inspired me to do that cotton pumpkin that I did a while ago. You know, last time, let's try this. Surface a quick. Let's see if this makes doing the lines a little easier. Oof, pardon. Of course, you can't forget the guy who started it all for me, and that was J-Wall. Twisted Seed is his YouTube. He is the first tutorial I ever followed in making my stuff. Yeah. Yep. Ah, I love that I can just bend right over and grab that paintbrush now without being blocked by 500 things. So nice. Nice. And before that, I think he was doing, or I don't know when he was doing it specifically, but he was doing a little pumpkin guy with his son. It looked like they were having a lot of fun. I'm glad that knowledge in general is out there for everyone. And that so many people have been able to make their own unique, cool Halloween things with it. If I remember right, the fellow over at Unhinged started off trying to kind of market his techniques. And I don't think that worked out because he eventually went to kind of a more open channel on YouTube. And then there's Scott Stahl, whose stuff is amazing over on Stalloween. And I understand his strategy for marketing a little bit better, just because he had it was kind of like an art studio, and he did classes. As far as I'm concerned, you'll never get rich doing this. But god dang is it fun. And you'll always be that house at Halloween with the stuff that nobody else has. Because it's not in any store. You made it yourself. And you get to watch jaws hit the floor when you tell people like that. Where'd you buy this? I didn't buy it, I made it. You what? Every time. Yeah, that probably is my favorite reaction. Didn't buy it, I made it. If you got a few minutes, I'll show you how to make it too. Everything from the line off. don't feel like dealing with half a laminate next time. Here, we'll probably do the same thing. And, a knife-like thing. There's a knife-like thing. Pardon. We'll just paint that edge down. Yeah. Begin with the smoothing. I do try to transition my school teaching style to my tutorials. I figure if it works in a lesson with bored 18-year-olds, it should work in a lesson with a interested, well, I can't say interested, 28 to 40-year-old, but an interested person who cares about it at all. I always think that the biggest thing for this is that with any art project, you should always expect your first attempt to kind of suck, in your opinion. Truth be told, it won't actually suck, but you'll be comparing yourself to, whatever tutorial or whatever you've seen before. So they'll almost always think, oh God, doesn't look anything like the one I was watching. But it's not supposed to. It's your first one. Your first one is supposed to look like your first one. Not your 50th, not your 15th. It's supposed to look like your first one. And my first one has been out every single year in my Halloween display, and I'm still very proud of it. Doesn't look anything like the ones I do now, but that's okay, because he was my first one. God, I love how this looks. I agree. I'm glad I did a garbage bag one the first time. I'm glad I made a tutorial on the garbage bag ones. I don't think you could pay me to do a garbage bag one anymore, but I'm not displeased. Remains to be seen, though, how this method reacts to the Dremel. I know it'll make a cut just fine, but we'll have to see if it makes a good face, and how easy that face is to control and coordinate with the Dremel's cutting efforts. So stupidly fast and easy, I can't believe it. Oh. Oh, guys, this might be my final form of pumpkins here. Apart from the odd, strange specialty brew, I might just start doing everything like this all the time. Alright, let's put this one over in a drying spot. We'll use the last of the clay up on that one. Oh, well, we got the one prototype that I just did sitting over there. This one's going to be taking off before Halloween. This one is going to be another prototype, come to think of it. So, at least 3? Bare minimum? Actually, I should say at least 2. This one, that one, and then I got all those other balloons over there that I was kind of setting for. What I probably ought to do as well is make a larger balloon one. And if we've got any paste left over, I may start doing the strips on something like that. Hello, cat. Incoming. God, Jesus. Looking forward to making the tutorial video on that. Yeah, what is it? The official recipe is 6 cups of flour, 1 cup of joint compound, 1 cup of glue, white glue, as much water as it takes to make that to the consistency of watered down pancake batter. I think like pancake batter is a better way to go though. Not thin, unless you're let's see here, paper clay. Yeah, so paper like pancake batter or thick pancake batter, really thick pancake batter, and then add add the water to turn it into a paste. Usually I paste it with the flour and the glue, then I add the drywall joint compound, and then I start adding the fluff in the mixing bowl. And that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot of paper clay left. That should be alright. More or less the recipe. This didn't smooth as well as the other one did. It's alright. Really draw this out. Unless I make some more. This is kind of my overflow project. I think it's a good idea to have an overflow project. Now, I didn't really find liquid starch did anything to make the recipe any better or worse. So it's like, why hassle yourself making it and or buying it if it doesn't seem to have an appreciable effect? If I could distinctly be like, all right, I'm feeling these two clays and I can tell this one has liquid starch and this one doesn't, then I would probably use it. But I was never able to do that. And so, I don't worry about it anymore. I think that was part of the original J-Wall recipe. And the other thing I got with the paper, with the liquid starch, was when I made a video on how to make it. Everybody and their brother was constantly asking about, how do you make slime? How do you make slime? How do you make slime? And I had no idea that liquid starch was such a main component of making slime. And I had no answers for all these people who are constantly asking, how do you make slime? Can I use it for slime? I don't know, dude. I don't make slime with it. Look for a video on somebody who makes slime. I don't make slime with it anymore. forever. And I confess, using the spritzer is also something a little bit new for me as well. Alright, I don't think I'm going to need the fishing line for this one. It's kind of a straight shot in one spot. No, I'm not even worried about trying to blend or separate those from each other. We're just gonna give it a one brush, two brush, red blush, brush, blue brush. Oh, God. I wish I'd been doing this years ago. Done. I'm willing to bet that clay is going to look a lot better than what I did before. Alright. Put this over on the drying spot. By which I mean right over here. Oh, we got this left. Oh. Whew. Oh, sorry. Sorry, David, I missed your last comment there, yeah? Hey, if your kids are rocking and rolling with it, that's awesome. I wish I had a family. I really, really do. It's not in the cards. Now, let's see here. A few years ago, honestly, like when I started, I wish that I had been there for me when I started out. I would have watched my videos and gone, hey, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. Alright, let's we used all the clay. Sculpting tools back. We got some stuff left here. High school was 1998. College round 1 was 2001. College round 2 was 2008. Been a while. Alright, I just organized my beach balls into an inflatables bin. Let's, see, I'm tempted to make a giant one. And I have a giant beach ball. But it's so big that I don't know I could fit it through the door to get it the hell out of here. So I'm wondering, maybe I can fill it up mostly and then put some tape around the middle. This is probably a terrible idea. No. I don't think my 18-year-old self would be terribly interested, quite frankly. The Halloween blast really came out of working miserable shift jobs in the early to mid-2000s. And when you work a miserable shift job, if you have a miserable shift job, you might know that generally holidays mean nothing. You work second shift, first shift, third shift. You work that shift, your days. If those days are holidays, you get them off. And if those days are holidays, the days you're off are holidays, then you get them off. But otherwise, if you don't have those days off, you're working on that holiday. You may get time and a half, double time, but you have no holidays. You're just going to get paid a little more, which is crap. So we were so sick and tired of it that we decided that we were going to take a holiday back, because we didn't get Christmas, we didn't get Thanksgiving, we just got paid a little bit more. And so that was about when Halloween really started to mean something, when we were adamantly going after it. When I say we, I mean me and my best friend Don, because we were both in kind of a miserable situation at the time, looking for a way to reclaim what was lost in our souls. Yeah. Well, at the time we were all renting, so we didn't really have a spot. I was lucky that I was renting a room in a house where I could do Halloween. And then afterwards we started haunting Don's brother's house, and then we started haunting my friend Will's house, and then I finally got a house, and now we haunt my house. So, yeah. Wild ride. Let me go grab a balloon. An inflatable. Because I know we can do the 12-inch ones, but I'd kind of like to prep a larger one. So see how much faster and easier it is to do this method. I also think we should try to experiment a bit with shaping a beach ball. I mean, how hard can it possibly be? How bad can it possibly be? classic song. All right. I could, but that means moving my whole crafting setup out to the garage. And if I want to film any of it, I have to figure out a way to get filming going in the garage. And that's just not impossible, but it's a pain in the tuchus. Bad enough that the computer I'm streaming with right now is downstairs, and I'm upstairs. For those of you who are wondering, that. So I figure if I spent the money on the airbrush pump, the least that can happen is it can serve me in many ways. Yeah, I think this one's about a 24-inch. I've got a 36 or 32, but again, I don't think that'll go through the craft room door. We're going to do a slight experiment in shape. But the one downside with the beach ball is that it's always going to come out round every single frickin' time. It's the ball's going to be round. You don't have a whole lot of options. Not that I think it's terrible or wrong in any way, but I'm curious if we can shape it a little bit. So, let's deflate this a hair. Double check the hole that I know is in this one. See if we can't give it a little bit of a midway condensate there. That would be hilarious. I love the concept. Oh, this tape is... this tape's a little old. also dollar store tapes. So yeah, that. We're going to do an initial deformation band, and then we'll do a solid deformation band. Initial band here will be just to give us a little bit of deformation. And now, let's see if this tape will tolerate going all the way around in one piece. Is kind of. It will kind of go around. And then it will stop losing its sticky side on the right side and become utterly useless. See if we can get it to recombobulate. Good. Starting to screw up again anyway. Let's take some more reliable tape. Fetch this down. So that is less likely to pop right out. Alright, now we're a little less ball-like. I do feel like we're losing pressure though from another leak. Let's find out. Yeah, I do feel like she's going down. That's okay. Now let's find the leak. Echo, turn off fan. I feel like I'm getting an air blast from somewhere around there. I really hope that first line of tape isn't over it. Yeah, definitely a temperamental tape brand. It's I need thermoreceptors that aren't covered by a layer of clay and paste. And it's possible that whatever leak is under the tape. In which case, it's fine. I just have to give it a refill from time to time. I think that'll be easier because I'm not finding any glaring leak spots right now. And I don't want to sit here for the next hour doing that. Alright, let's put this back, because we just cleaned the goddamn place. I do not want to make all my efforts turn into a clutter reacquisition festival. Mind you, a clutter reacquisition festival sounds fun, but not fun enough. Hello, Fuzzy Cat. You're safe. All right. Cool. I had more paper strips than that lined up and ready to go. Pardon. Of course, here's another inflatable. And a superior brush for this. Let's get a few more strips ready because I don't see the reservoir that I expected. And it's not like it takes long to make strips. Particularly not when I don't have that much stuff ready. More than do it for the amount of paste I have left. Alright, Echo, turn on fan. I wish I had more projects to do tonight. A crafty blitz of a mood. It's almost like I've done this before. Alright, that's more than enough. Let's get this ready to see how it works on the big boys. I do maintain a ridiculously large stock of crafty crapola at any given time. got a whole little bin full of newspaper. Fluff comes in freaking giant packages. And I see one of the problems with this methodology already. There's gonna be a divot. I think the divot may be able to be fixed by just doing an extra layer or 3 of strips in the middle. I know it can be fixed with clay, but I'd rather not have to leave an extra inch. But who knows? Maybe in doing the clay, it won't even appear. That is entirely possible as well. And normally I do hemisphere and hemisphere, but I kind of want this thing to constrict around the center line as it dries. And bat removal, 5-year guarantee. I do want to work on that animatronic of mine, but I think that may be better being off-camera work. I don't know. Who knows? I'll haul it out and just keep going anyway. It's just me crafting anyway. The live streams are not meant to be hyper entertainment value. That's what the tutorials are for. One thing I can feel with the drywall joint compound in this paste, especially since I've thinned it out, it feels like there's grit in it, fine grit particles. It's an interesting texture when you're expecting regular clay or a regular paste. Section. You know, I think over this rough section we will strip a little differently. Be careful, everybody's got different expectations when you're stripping. I think that's a highly appropriate comment for my my verbal whack-a-mole there. Let's try this. Echo, play royalty-free spooky music. Now I'm worried. Hey, it's Pachelbel's Cannon. I copied Pachelbel's Cannon. I don't have any music sense. Da, 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 da. Oh my god. It's the same chord progression. Oh man. I didn't write this at all. It's royalty free. Sorry if it's making me sound like a music snob. It's just so Pachelbel's Canon. And it's not like whoever this is the first person to grab that chord progression and run with it. It's just feels like it's very lazy songwriting. Very glad this large brush is sitting right there on the counter. I use the smaller one from before. This would be much slower. Also wondering if this drywall joint compound left over in here will affect the bond strength. Probably make the paper a little bit more rigid when it dries up. We shall see. Not that I'm particularly worried one way or another. deeply curious. State sale, amazing in Oneonta. State sale, baseball collectors and more. My back is reminding me that I'm sitting in a backless chair. I know this song isn't royalty free. No, maybe it is. Though I do know that some of these songs really aren't easy to hear over the stream. Occasionally I find good ads as I'm pasting along. Or it's just interesting to know that these are all from like a year ago. The one on bat removal was kind of interesting and fun. Now I seem to be in car sales. 2022 Jeep Gladiator 4x4, 6 in stock. Quad cab Ram 4x4. Raw. John Deere lawnmower. Douglas Reifenberg, masonry contractor. Vacation. All right, that's gonna get old. It's gonna get old fast. On the plus side, we're almost out of actual paste. If I can, I'd like to get to the spot where I started to double layer. I don't think I'm gonna make it though. more strip in this anyway. Yeah, there's not that much left. There's barely enough there right now to hold it. Sides for a bit. Alright. That's all that she wrote. This is MC Hammer. With the wrong lyrics. Echo, stop. Echo, stop. So that look at something other than my gut. Spots where it's coming up. I have some watered down glue over here. May as well get full use out of this. Just got some spots where it's peeling out. I don't like it. Since I got this watered down glue anyway. Ugh. I've been lucky. None of my vehicles have been tree branched yet. Sure it'll happen at some point in my life. Really bad spot there. Fortunately, I don't really like watered down glue, but it does do a hell of a job when it comes to keeping your mache stuck. Yeah, close enough. And I've got enough left to do. Another few strips. A little bit, yeah. I'm not surprised that it's got the indent I mean, that was half the point of doing the whole thing. Seeing if we could get the beach ball round turned into something more of a pumpkin oblong. And I think it's very possible, and with the nature of the curvature and the paper's general desire to not fold into the divot quite so much, it's possible that when we clay this thing, it's not even going to be noticeable at all. At any way, shape, or form. Be noticeable a little bit, obviously, but only if you're looking for it. That's the last of the water down blue. And pretty much this thing's got 2 layers on it. Ugh. We'll let it constrict. I'll spend some time tonight turning the rest of my, or at least another couple issues of my paper down there into strips. Make sure this brush doesn't get destroyed. Maybe I'll go rinse this bowl too. Echo, what time is it? Echo, what time is it? 8:54 p.m. That should be good enough. I cannot wait until that other pumpkin is fully dry. It's going to be so cool to Dremel sculpt that. I'm just stupid looking forward to it. I think moreover than even the Dremel sculpting will be afterwards adding the clay accents back onto it, up, over, and above what I've got. Maybe we'll go for something entirely different. Do like a witch face or a person face on there. I just have mine kind of turned down right now. The volume boost is for when I have it through the stereo speakers, running it through an auxiliary. Okay, so that brush is set. That brush is set. This has been turned into soft slurm. think I will pour this out. Likewise, get it the hell out of here. Maybe a variation. I, as a rule, do not like to use movie monsters of any kind. There's only one movie monster allowed in the haunt, and that's Sam from Trick or Treat. We've already got a full-size model of him. I might do a scarred, sewn together face, but nothing that will instantly make people think of Boris Karloff. That's a lot more cleaned out than it was. Woohoo! So we got one pumpkin completely clayed around that will hopefully turn into a complete piece. The other one is the one that's going out to Letty, that's got its whole back done. It just needs its lower jaw and two sides of the face done, plus any ancillary sculpting that needs doing. We got that. The leftover parts one is a little bit more leftover parted, and this has 2 layers on it, which hopefully will stretch tight, and if we're really lucky, those inner layers will pull away from the tape a little bit as they dry and try to become a bit more taut, but who knows. Either way, it's a hell of a bit of good work for today. And I really want to try to start working on that animated monster with the baby cradle. I just don't know if I want to do that right now, because I've got space around me, but I have to clear a little bit more. Glad I'm debunking the spoon here too. It's getting obnoxious. I'll always expect lives. Lives are the time when work is getting done in between the tutorials. We do need to film my first pumpkin. And honestly, one of the reasons I'm kind of waiting with this new strategy of pumpkin here is that this might be incredibly easy for a first-time pumpkineer. I could tell them just do this, do this, do this, and then it hits 2 angles. Anybody who doesn't want a jack-o'-lantern but wants a pumpkin, it's done. It's ready. We're good. But if anybody wants a jack-o'-lantern, then all they have to do is get a Dremel, or you could do it with like a jigsaw as well. God help you, but you could do it if you had a drill and a jigsaw. It's tough because I want my first pumpkin to be very much anybody can do this with minimal stuff. And if I say you need a rotary tool, that's not minimal stuff. So I think we'll end up combining the techniques a little bit. We'll see. But I really want to see if this pumpkin first method is viable, and I think it is. I think it absolutely is. Yeah, but it's got to dry. I've got to Dremel it, and then I've got to sculpt it. So again, there's lives that are the research that's being done in between the tutorials, because tutorials don't just happen. I have to do it right, figure out what it takes to do it, and then distribute that in a manner that makes sense to somebody watching who is confused, and if they're a, OCD type personality, maybe even a little anxious about the project. I find a lot of people are often very anxious about these projects. It's like, oh, I don't know how it's going to turn out, and it needs to be like, look, anybody can do that. Just follow these steps. It's going to look like this. It's got to be simple. Simple. But, all right, we're going to call it for today, because I think we're at a good spot. Could always do more tomorrow. Who knows? If I really get the bug, maybe I'll pop on back more tonight and do more crazy stuff. I could always add more layers to this without a problem. But I kind of want to work with clay, and I'm out of clay at this point. So. Fantastic. Well, thanks for hanging out, David, and anybody else who's out there. And hanging with me whilst we craft and make crazy stuff. Otherwise, I can't wait till I have my... Pardon? I can't wait until I have the computer upstairs. So I have more control over that stuff. There we go. Wow. Yep, have a good night. This thing just gave me a weird screen. Wow, we might not be able to... Yeah, no, we got this. We got this. Yes, it's back. Fantastic. Have a good one. Take care, Joey. To everybody, have a great night. Keep your pumpkins shining bright.